Welcome back to another EDH deck tech and a continuation in my deep dive into mono black. This is my Chainer Dementia Master deck. It is a Reanimator deck, as I guess all Chainer decks are. Reanimation has a very interesting play style. I build a lot of mono black decks. And, you know, they all have a little bit of reanimation here and there, but this is my one that is purely reanimation. It has that kind of streamline, play style in that all I want to do is put creatures in my yard and then bring those creatures back. And also maybe, put my opponent's creatures in their yard and bring some of them back as well. So it has that kind of goal when I just kind of want to be playing a bunch of big creatures and just seeing how the game kind of changes depending on what kind of creatures I'm bringing back, as well as what kind of creatures my opponents are playing and what I can get access to as well. So I really always liked the kind of Entomb effects. So you can kind of go two ways with this. Maybe you want to be milling out everyone, including yourself, and seeing what comes along, or play some of those targeted Entomb effects. And I've always liked those Entomb effects. So this one has a heavy Entomb theme where I'm entombing a lot of my own creatures and bringing those back, and then if my opponents have something interesting, then I'll bring that back. So we'll go through the deck. So like I said, we're playing a lot of Entomb effects. So Entomb being instant, being the best of it, where I can put a card into the yard, but we pretty much will play I think almost every kind of that effect that I can get in black, minus the new one from Strixhaven. So Entomb, great, perfect. That's kind of what we want. Every version of this is just worse, I guess, now. So Unmarked Grave, straight out of MH2. So MH2 brought a lot of reanimation to it, so I was kind of able to fill out this deck because it wasn't really in a place that I liked it, but MH2 added a lot to it. So Unmarked Grave, but this one will get non-legendary, so you need to make sure that you're hitting the right creatures. Buried Alive, another fantastic one. This kind of the next one after Entomb, where I can put 3 creatures. So I'll put in something useless that I can kind of just sacrifice, and then some big beaters as well. Or mix up that toolbox, because a lot of these reanimation targets are kind of toolboxy, where they'll give me a different kind of effect, so I can kind of mix and match. Vile Entomber. So this one's just Entomb, but on a stick, kind of like a Ravenous Chupacabra, but this one will Entomb, and the death touch is nice. But it's also something that I could bring back if I really needed to. The interesting thing with Chainer is that you can do its effect at instant speed, so maybe I need an instant speed death toucher. This would be a lot of fun to kind of get my opponent. I get another creature in the yard to reanimate, plus get hit them with death touch. Seems pretty nice. Corpse Connoisseur. This one's good because it has Unearth. We were starting to get into the more expensive ones of these effects, especially when Entomb is a 1-mana kind of effect. Now we're just putting them on creatures, but the interesting thing is that we can reanimate these creatures if we want. Not only is there Chainer's ability, but I have some other reanimate effects in here as well. So it's not just using Chainer. But having this with Unearth, just adds a little bit more flexibility. Gravebreaker Lamia. So with this one, lifelink is nice, but 4/4 we're not really swinging in too much. It will give us that Entomb effect. Now its next clause, we're not going to be getting that reduction because we're not really casting spells from our graveyard. But it's there just to have a body that's going to put something in the graveyard. Just more redundancy. Burning Rune Demon. So this one's a new one from Strixhaven. No, from Kaldheim, sorry. So this one's interesting. It's just a big beater. This one is also a nice reanimation target itself because it is a 6/6 flyer, and it's going to give us something in our hand as well as something in the yard, which we're very happy with. Okay, so those are the kind of targeting Entomb effects. There's one at every CMC up to 6, so a lot of flexibility. But we do have a little bit of milling of ourselves and our opponents, just to see what they might have in their yards as well. So Mesmeric Orb, one of the best ones of it. 2 mana, it's going to mill people, 5 cards around or something like that, so people are going to be tapping their, at least their lands. So you're going to be getting a few mills here and there, and hopefully, you're going to get some creatures out of that. Perpetual Timepiece, another nice one where it's just cheap, 2 mana, and we're going to be putting cards into our graveyard. So quite nice. The shuffle effect's not really that relevant. It's more just to the consistent kind of mill of ourselves. And then Doom Whisperer. So this one is itself a target that we can try to reanimate. And the surveil's quite nice because we can just start surveilling. The 2 life can add up, so you might not want to do this too many times, but you do have that life flexibility, so just surveilling, putting those 2 cards into the graveyard until you get a nice draw that you do want, and then all those creatures that you've surveilled are sitting there waiting to be reanimated. Okay, so some of our reanimation targets. So as well as Chainer. Chainer will obviously be the focus of the reanimation, but we do want a bit of redundancy. Maybe Chainers, it's too early for Chainer to come out, or it's been targeted or something like that. We do want some of those reanimation effects. So Reanimate, very, very good. 1 mana. Animate Dead, another classic. Reanimate and Animate Dead are kind of the go-to when you want to put something reanimation, just a little bit of reanimation flavor in your black decks, and then everything other than that is probably more suited for reanimation specific styles. So Animate Dead, really good. Persist, so that's a new one. And AMH2 goes with Unmarked Grave, where it's going to give a creature essentially persist, but it is non-legendary, so you need to make sure that you're hitting those non-legendaries. We have a mixture of legendaries and non-legendaries to kind of help support that. And then Stitched Together, another nice little one, where essentially, okay, you can put it into your hand, but if you have Threshold, you're going to put it into play. And Threshold's very easy to kind of hit on in this deck, so that will help out. And this is that reanimation package, just light. We have 10 or so Entombs and 4 or 5 reanimates, so quite nice. Okay, so now the actual things that we're all interested in is the actual reanimation targets themselves. So first up, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, really, really strong. This is a go-to for Chainer. Obviously, it's going to help with your life total, as well as start draining people on the board. This also does combo well with Chainer. There's a few pieces that you need to combo, but it is one in there to help kind of start winning the game, obviously. Demon of Dark Schemes. This one's an interesting one. So it's nice. It has a little bit of removal, kind of gets rid of some of those pesky tokens. Creatures are going to die a lot. Now, this does hit some of our own creatures, but we play quite a few big beaters, so it might not be as relevant. So you're going to get that energy stored up, and then you can pay that energy and that mana to get another creature. So this is another reanimation effect, but it itself is a target, so it's quite nice in that regard. It has a little double meaning there. Kokusho. So this one's another one. So this one's great. It's going to help with our life total. This one also does combo well with Chainer. Essentially, you need this or Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Chainer, a stack outlet, and something to reduce the cost of your ability on Chainer. So, and when we have something in there for that. but this one's essentially just to help with your life total and also combo off if you need. Massacre Worm, kind of like the Demon of Dark Schemes, where it's going to give -2 to all creatures, and you know you're going to start draining people out. And this is another toolboxy one for those people that are kind of going wide. Maybe it's an elf deck or something like that. Yeah, it's just going to help with that. So that's the kind of things that you want to target when it comes to toolboxy. Okay, Qrik, Son of Yogmund. So this is the thing that will help us activate Chainer's ability. So it will allow us to pay Phyrexian mana for that. So with Chainer, Grey Merchant of Asphodel or Kokusho, and Qrik, we can pay the 9 mana, 9 life to activate Chainer, and our Grey Merchant of Asphodel or Kokusho is going to give us more than that. So we can keep doing that repeatedly over and over if we have a sack outlet. And we do want sack outlets in this deck because when Chain is removed, it's going to exile our creatures as well, which we do not want. So we want to sack them first so they can go back to the graveyard. So, but then we can get, when we get Chainer out again, it's going to reanimate. So Qrik, very powerful. Rune Scar Demon, another kind of toolboxy where it's a reanimation target that's going to allow us to tutor anything that we want, just super versatile. Shield Druid, Whispering One, just very, very strong card. Another one that's going to be pesky for our opponents. Chainer does allow us to reanimate at instant speed, so we can kind of do this maybe at the end end of the player before us, their turn, and then get that creature back onto the battlefield. We're going to have these creatures in the graveyard, so it's going to very much support this, and then start that round around the table and see if Shield Druid can last. Razaketh, love this card, super fun. Another one where it's just a huge beater, and it's going to let us get any card we want. We're going to have it for a sack outlet. It just does everything that we want in this deck, so it's really great. And then Villas, Broker of Blood, we're paying a lot of life, so we're going to be drawing those cards, and it's just another big beater as well. Okay, so some sack outlets. So we do want to have some very cheap sack outlets, things that are not really going to cost us any resources to trigger or to activate those abilities. So you do want to be as efficient as possible because we're going to be spending our mana on big creatures. So seriously, it's great. It's going to help us with our draws as well. Altar of Dementia, another one where this one's gonna help us mill ourselves as well as our opponent, so that's quite nice. Give us more options to play with. Yep, that's great. Now this one, how do you pronounce this? Seldivai Adnate. Look at that one. This one's an interesting one. So this one's probably one of the worst ones in that we do need to tap it. But it's going to give us a nice big boost in mana, so we can even get rid of, say, like a Villas or something like that, get a huge influx of black mana, and then reanimate it, because it's only going to cost us 3 to reanimate, and we've got some of that, mana still in our mana pool. So yeah, quite nice. We don't have really anything to help to untap this, but it's just a big influx of mana. Spawning Pit, just cheap. It doesn't cost us anything to activate. We're going to get those spawn, what are they called? Charge counters, and then maybe get a token for a blocker or something like that. That's not really relevant. It's more that it's 2 mana to cast, and it's going to give us that free sack outlet. Astronaut Delta, classic. It's going to help us to ramp it out as well. Phyrexian Altar, another one, super classic. So all these sack outlets, will combo with Chainer, which is great, which is what we want. Okay, so some of that removal. So I've got Bone Shards in here. Very interesting one from MH2. So it does everything that we want because it will allow us to sacrifice creatures or discard a card as well. So sometimes you might have some of those big beaters in your hand, and you want to get rid of them. So this one's another great one, and it's just versatile because it's going to destroy target creature and planeswalker. Or planeswalker, sorry. So it kind of just does everything that we want. Now with this deck, it's hard to fit all the Entomb effects and sacrifice effects and the mill effects and things like that, where I don't really have a lot of discard. So one of them kind of had to fall to the wayside. So being able to get something out of my hand that I don't want is quite nice. Feed the Swarm, you know, I put this in all my black decks just to deal with some of those enchantments. Maybe someone's got like a Rest in Peace out or something like that that's really bothering our plan. It's going to help with that. Playcrafter, just a nice little removal. It's going to sack itself, or possibly I say sack another creature. But you know, if I need to bring a consistent sacrifice my opponent's creatures, you know, Playcrafter could be even something that we target. Deadly Relic, just super cheap. I do want Chainer out, so you know we're going to be meeting this free clause. It's a nice little exile target creature. Hagra Mauling, you know, I put this in a lot of my black decks. It's a land. I wouldn't normally play this, you know, kind of worse murder, but it is a land if I need it on the other side. Ravenous Chupacabra, just a great card. This one itself is a target, so I could reanimate this if I need to, but you know, it can destroy a creature, block, and then just come back and destroy creatures. So you'll notice that a lot of these you know, destroy effects are on creatures themselves because I can reanimate them, and that's what I want to be doing. Noxus Gearhulk, a huge creature. It's going to give us a little life gain, which is quite nice as well. But essentially, it's going to serve that same spot of, you know, instantly reanimate with Chainer to take out a creature and then block or something like that. So, you know, kind of get them. And Meteor Golem, just to deal with anything that, you know, black can't deal with. And you know, I'm not really going to be wanting to pay 7 for this, but it is a perfectly fine reanimation target, just to kind of get that out and destroy a permanent that I couldn't before. Okay, and then we have a lot of creatures, some of our creatures dying. We do want to, you know, be sacking them so that they don't get exiled from Chainer. So Grave Pact is great. It's going to force our opponent's creatures to be destroyed, as well as Dictated Erebroach. You know, it has flash, same thing. That's great. Some mass board wipes. So Toxic Deluge, just super cheap. Gets around indestructible. Damnation, just really efficient. 4 mana is going to destroy our creatures. And Mutilate also gets around indestructible. We do play a lot of swamps. So, you know, it's just going to hit a lot of things. You'll notice some of those board wipes are, you know, very consistent with a lot of my black decks. That is kind of the suite that I go for. Okay, card draw. So, you know, you want, you know, as efficient card draw as possible. So Knight's Whisper, just 2 mana, draw 2, lose 2. Silent Blood, same thing, but this one obviously targets a player. Necropotence, just really cheap, 3 mana. It can draw heaps of cards. Do keep in mind that this card clause does mean that you will exile. So if you are drawing more than say up to your hand size, do keep that in mind. And anything that does force us to discard will also exile as well. So, you know, keep that in mind because we don't want to be exiling our stuff, but it's just that great a value that you know, gets a spot. Phyrexian Arena, another one I put in a lot of my decks, just, you know, relatively cheap. It's not going to draw you too many cards, but it does work well with Devotion, and it's going to kind of sit there and get that value for you. And then Read the Bones kind of works with Knight's Whisper, Sign in Blood, where it's draw 2, but this one lets us just, you know, mess with our draws first, which is great. Okay, some tutors. So we play a lot of utility lands. So Expedition Map is great for that. It kind of can go off and get those lands that we need. Vampiric Tutor, just, you know, super cheap, instant. You know, sets up our next turn. Demonic Tutor, great. You know, lets us get any card we want. We want some Entomb effects and things like that to start the ball rolling. Diabolic Intent, same thing. This one allows us to sacrifice a creature. We're okay with sacrificing creatures. We have no problems with that. So it allows us to get that. We want some tutors because we have to have a lot of setup in place. We have to have sack outlets, we have to have entombers, and we have to have reanimators. So yeah. Okay, so some ramp. Normal black ramp, so Dark Ritual, just to help get some of those creatures out first, and help maybe chain her out a lot earlier. Soul Ring, just classic, helps with mana. Arcane Signet, again, we want that kind of 2 mana ramp, or at least as efficient as possible, because we want to play ramp and start setting up our graveyards and things like that. So we can get the ball kind of rolling. We need as much ramp as possible. Felwar Stone is great. Black's a popular color, so you're going to get a lot of people using black, else it's just colorless. Jet Medallion makes everything cheaper. Mind Stone, great. It might help with the draw later on. Thought Vessel, another one where maybe we don't want to worry about our hand size. A Bog Witch. So this one kind of serves the same as Bone Shard in that it allows us to discard a card from our hand. So get one of those cards out of our hand, and then it just gives us a Dark Ritual. So which is nice. It's nice little value. It does need to tap, which is unfortunate, but you could put something like maybe a Dark Deal or something in this place. But I wanted to try out this Bog Witch, and I've been happy with it. Getting that kind of having this down turn 3, seeing if I can get Chainer out, and then I can tap this with Chainer. Discard that card. It's going to give me that 3 mana that I can use to activate Chainer. So with this out and not Summon Sickness, then Chainer comes out and starts the ball rolling immediately. So I did really like that. Cryptcast, double our swamps, play a lot of swamps. It's great. Extort is nice. It will help us with our life total. The kind of Revenant, some more expensive Cryptcast, but these can also be reanimation targets. So it's nice to have these effects on creatures. Reanimate them for super cheap, then all your swamps suddenly, double tap. So some protection, some Malakir Rebirth. Normally I wouldn't play an effect like this, but the fact is there's a land on the other side. So that's just great value, and Chainer will be targeted. So having this is quite nice. And just another alternative win condition, we had the kind of Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Kakusho kind of lines, as well as just beating down with some big creatures, and maybe our opponents have something nice and spicy. But we are producing a lot of black mana, so Torment of Hellfire is, just a nice alternative win condition. You could probably have Exsanguinate or something like this, or maybe you feel like you might not need that third, I guess, win condition. Okay, the mana. So a lot of it is swamps, but we want to be paying some of those powerful lands. So Ancient Tombs, great. It's going to get those cards out early. Chainer has some generic cost to it, so this does help with that. Bojuka Bog deals with people's graveyards. Always play that in my black decks. Cabal Coffers, just great to get those creatures out earlier. Get Chainer out as early as possible. So that's great. Cabal Stronghold, not as good as Cabal Coffers, but it serves its purpose. You want to be playing basic swamps with this, because this one is basic swamps only. But once you start getting to 4, 5, 6, basic swamps are starting to, get your investment back. It's very easy to have that many swamps in this kind of deck. High Market, this one's just a free sack outlet. It's a land itself. So you're not getting much more value out of that than, when somebody's gone to board wipe and you've got Chainer out, you have that additional sack outlet just sitting there in your land spot. Myriad Landscape, nice one where, it's just going to help us ramp out those earlier turns. We want to have as much swamps as possible, so it's going to allow us to get those swamps. But also, we're in mono black, so having any additional help to ramp, it's going to be great. Nixthos trying the Nix. We're going to be hitting Devotion. We have a lot of black permanents, a lot of black creatures. You know, some of those creatures have 3 black pips in them. So, you know, Devotion is going to be relatively easy in this kind of deck. Phyrexian Tower, another one where it's a sack outlet, and it's going to give us a little bit of ramp onto that, so that's quite nice. Strip Mine, always play one of these kind of land destruction lands in my decks, depending on the budget. It could be a Ghost Quarter or Strip Mine, but you know, somebody will have a Ghost, will have a, you know, Cabal Coffers themselves, or a Guy's Cradle, or you know, something like that you just have to deal with, and you know, have an Expedition map to help kind of get that out if I really need. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, just fantastic. Helps turn everything into swamps, including my Cabal Coffers, so you know, helps to tap that. Just always, you know, kind of goes with Cabal Coffers, so you know, great land. And War Room, another one that I've been putting into my mono black decks that I've been quite liking. You know, it's just 1 life, and if I really need to, you know, I can draw that card, so it's not that big of a cost when it's in your land spot. And then swamps, the rest of it is just swamps, about 25 swamps, I think. So, you know, you want to play a lot of swamps, obviously, for Cryptghast, Nakata Revenant, you know, Cabal Stronghold, Cabal Coffers, Mutilate, all of them just work off your, you know, your swamps. So this is my Chainer deck. A lot of fun, very focused on reanimation. Just sometimes it's just nice to ignore what my opponents are doing and just be like, I'm looking at my graveyard and I'm bringing stuff out of it, and if you've got anything nice, I'm also bringing it out. So yeah, just a lot of fun, feels very black. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I hope you do too. Thanks.